The title of this book is Right on Carlos by Stuart J. Murphy. And Carlos wants to be able to write his name like some of his friends can. Carlos wants to write his name. Some of his friends can, and he asks his mom for help. He practices over and over again. See how proud Carlos is to show his friends what he can do? Here's his friends. Here's Freda and Emma and Percy, Camille and Carlos. And here's their city. This is a map of their city. Right on Carlos. Carlos wanted to write his own name just like AJ. You know what your name begins with, said his mom, and Carlos made a big C on his paper. Here's the letter C right here. Big C for Carlos. Next comes A, and then R, said his mom, and that spells car. It's a good start. Vroom, vroom, said Carlos, and he drew cars all over his paper until it was time for bed. The next day, Carlos played in the sandbox with Freda and Percy. Freda wrote her name in the sand right here. I bet you can't do that, she said to Percy. I don't have to, said Percy. I can just make a picture. See where he drew a picture of himself? That's me. AJ walked by and he wrote his name next to Freda's. Here's his name right here. AJ. Can you write your name, Carlos? Asked AJ. I can do the first part, said Carlos. And Carlos wrote C-A-R right here. That spells car, said Freda. Beep, beep, honk, honk, said Percy, and he jumped in his car and pedaled away. Freda, AJ, and Carlos ran after him. That looks like a fun car to drive. That night, Carlos asked his mom to help him again. I've got to get it, said Carlos. I remember the car part. Okay, said his mom. Let's keep going. Next comes L, and then O, and after that is S, just like this. C-A-R-L-O-S. Carlos. Carlos and his mom hung a banner that said Carlos in his room. See it right here? Carlos. His mom gave him some big sheets of paper, and there was plenty of room to practice. He worked very, very hard. A few days later, Carlos and his friends played in the park again. Percy had some chalk. He drew a picture of himself on the sidewalk. That's me, said Percy. Freda and AJ took some chalk and added their names. My turn, said Carlos. Everyone turned to look. Carlos wrote a great big C. Next he wrote A and then R. Beep, beep, honk, honk, said Percy, and he ran to his car. AJ and Freda started to run after him. What do you think's going to happen next? But Carlos didn't look up. He wrote L and then O and S. AJ and Freda stopped to watch. Percy came wheeling back in his car. Carlos, that's me, shouted Carlos. How do you write your name? There's letters in your name. And all of your family members have letters in their names. When we get back to school in person, we're going to learn how to write your names and your friends' names and all kinds of different words, and it's going to be so much fun. The end.